Hi everyone, welcome on board to Helper.tv.
We are determined to stop it, but Ecowas is not going to tell the coup plotters when where we are going to strike. That is an operational decision that will be taken by the
Ecowas made its final decision. They say they will be striking Niger, and Niger will not be given any form of notification before this is done. Africans are not happy about this, particularly Nigerians. They have requested that Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president, stay off from this. But then, majority of these African presidents and leaders, most of them want to retain power forever. And those who do not want to retain power forever also do not want some disgruntled military officers or whoever planning a coup. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and in fact, the vice president of Nigeria, know that should any military officer or whoever decide amongst themselves to plan a coup, they will execute this coup with nothing happening. Well, is that enough reason for ECOWAS and Nigeria, that is the biggest stakeholders in it, to strike Niger? Why did the Nigerians decide on this? And the military taking over, does that mean that they are people of integrity? Although they said that this is going to be a temporary government and that they will be instituting democracy. Look at Burkina Faso. The head of the country is a military officer that calls himself a president. Now, why are these people angry? It is the same problem all over majority of the African countries, where the West and corrupt leaders join hands together to rape the country's resources. Let us listen. Let us listen to this man. He is a man full of wisdom. But before we proceed, like and share this video, subscribe, turn on the notification bell if you're just coming across this channel. Tap on the thanks button to encourage us to do more.
And you will see a continent that is not at ease. The continent is not at ease because the continent is suffering from a deficit of leadership. Look at Africa today. Tell me whether we are at ease in Niger. Tell me whether Mali is settled. Tell me whether there is quiet and calm in Chad. Tell me whether Guinea-Bissau is doing well. Tell me whether the Cameroons are stable. Tell me whether Central African Republic is good. Tell me whether Sudan, South Sudan, Somalia, Ethiopia, Northern Mozambique, and all these countries where there is peace and quiet, whether the sons and daughters of this country, tell me whether even this great Nigeria is at ease. Tell me. The answer is, she is not. And I dare say that as long as Nigeria is not at ease, Africa will never be at ease. There are those in many African countries who have allowed themselves to be acolytes of the neo-colonizers, and to the detriment of the continent of Africa. So when we interrogate leadership, we must ask ourselves, how free are our leaders? How free are our politicians from external influence? But is that an excuse? No, it cannot be an excuse. Leaders in a multi-ethnic environment must also be different. Nigeria, as Chinua rightly said, like all African countries, is an artificial entity. Chinua says in his book, The Trouble with Nigeria, that there is nothing comparable to how the European nations were created. There is no Nigerian, Chinua Achebe says, in the same way as there is a Danish or a Swedish or a Norwegian. Nigeria is a unique state with many states. The same is true of Kenya. The same is true of Ghana. Nigeria possibly has over 500 nations within her. Tanzania, 136. The Democratic Republic of Congo, 306. Kenya, 42. Uganda, 56. In order to be a leader in such countries, those who have the honor and privilege must be men and women who are prepared to ensure that they weld the bonds amongst those people. As Samora Moises Machel said, If the post-colonial African country is to succeed, the tribe must die. And the tribe must die because if the tribe does not die, then the new nation will never thrive. And I did not understand Samora Moises Machel to say that he should stop being a Yoruba. No. I did not understand him to say that he should stop being a thief or to stop being an Igbo or Hausa or a Fulani. No. Those are cultural mosaics which, when put together, make a nation beautiful and strong. But what do we do in most of Africa? We use those cultural differences to divide the people. We use those cultural differences to reinforce centrifugal forces and therefore threaten the very nation which we want to serve. I am telling all of us who are present here, and many of you who are present in this assembly, who are honored and respected and claim to be leaders, that you have a duty to ensure that you are in front in order to serve and not to be served. But ladies and gentlemen, let us also ask ourselves about followership. You know, as a young student, and many of us who are young students, it was the culture when you are in your first year of studies that you must be a revolutionary. And a revolutionary in the style of Karl Marx. And therefore you would say, workers of the world, unite. You have nothing to lose but your chains. All of us were revolutionaries. And we used to say then that the safety of the bourgeois demands that the proletariat be kept in the most profound ignorance. We were revolutionaries. Who is a leader? Is he a leader who allows meta-ignorance to reign supreme amongst the people he or she is leading? Is it the duty of a leader to ensure that he leads men and women who are enlightened? Men and women who can question what he or she is doing? I'm suggesting to us that true and sustainable leadership also requires that you have a followership that is enlightened, a followership that calls you to account, a followership that is going to make demands of you, a followership that when you say that you are going to improve the quality of their food, they do not believe that agriculture stops on that day, but they believe that agriculture must be intensified and that technology must be used. A followership which knows that when you say you are going to deliver heaven on earth, they know that that is merely an advertisement that you are incapable of delivering heaven on earth. A followership that knows that when you are promising to do things within 100 days, which ordinarily can only be done in 5 years, they know that you're a liar. A followership that is capable of discerning that when you speak things, there are many variables, and it is the duty of a leadership to ensure that such a leadership is indeed created. What do African leaders do? African leaders in many African countries have now assigned the question of education, educating their followers to NGOs and CBOs, which are financed by the Americans, which are financed by the Europeans, which are financed by other civilizations. How do you think, how do you imagine that the people of Denmark would have the interest of Nigeria at their heart? How are you satisfied that all those civic education activities that are being undertaken in Borno, in Maiduguri, or in Abeokuta, financed by USAID, are meant to be for the benefit of Nigeria? Because the last time I checked, the English used to say, he who pays the piper calls the tune. So today, when you look at most of Africa, we have a followership that is tuned from outside. It is not a followership that is tuned from inside. And you wonder why they behave the way they do. They behave the way they do because they are being tuned by other civilizations.
So, what went wrong? That is the question on the minds of a lot of people. But like I've always said, and it is true, that the collective consciousness of everybody, regardless of your country, regardless of your religion, regardless of your tribe, that collective consciousness is what you have as government. We have gone through all that Niger is going through. Talk about coup. Of course, we had coup in Nigeria too. And all of these stems out of corruption. And I have always said it is called wickedness. Wickedness has children and great-grandchildren. Amongst them, you will find monopoly, where one man will be called the richest man, not because he's so hard working. Of course, he worked. Even armed robbers work hard. Where some group of people will be called millionaires, billionaires. Why? Because they are close to the corridors of power and everything has been monopolized. They are the only one that will get the contract. They are the only one that will be allowed free movement of trucks, even during lockdown. This is what we are talking about. This man is an orator, a lawyer, and you will barely find more of his kind now. He said all of this in Nigeria. But did that change the thoughts and minds of those criminals seated there? At that minute, at that second, they are thinking of what to loot. They are thinking of how to steal resources, take them to Europe, take them to America, take them to the West. That is all they are thinking about. They are thinking about looting their state dry. It has nothing to do with tribe. I always repeat, it has nothing to do with religion. Or haven't you seen religious clerics fleecing their members? Haven't you seen a man that speaks your language trying to rip you off? Haven't you seen family members trying to loot, trying to steal? Majority of them are there laughing, applauding the oratory, the message. Of course, before Professor Lumumba will come out to speak about these things, they already know what it is. These are people who are working against progress. It is so sad. It is so terrible. Many of you will ask this question: when will Africa rediscover itself? When will it discover herself? When will Nigeria discover itself? When will it discover herself? When? When? All they know and the best thing they do is to steal, kill, and destroy. They are not ready for progress. They are ready for the next opportunity to rip off. They are ready for the next opportunity to steal. And majority of them, 99.9% of them, have their children in countries that work. They've bought foreign citizenship for them. If not for some health issues that they cannot handle, you will barely know if they are having issues or not. Look at what is happening. They have looted, they have stolen, they have done a lot of terrible things, and they are still ready to do it. Now, this brings us to Niger, which is the major thing that is happening now, not because Nigeria is Niger. Of course, there is a close proximity to Nigeria, but since Nigeria is the highest stakeholder in Ecowas, and the coup in Niger has prompted Ecowas to rise up to demand for the reinstallation of the ousted president. Well, the Nigerian government, Ecowas, is asking for military intervention to reinstall, in quote, democracy. Talking about democracy, are you saying Niger is a democratic country because there is a man who is not a military officer? If the military steps in there and what they do is to steal, kill, and destroy, and if a civilian steps in there and does the same, is that called democracy? All of this, I've repeated several times, is made possible by the cooperation of the West, particularly France in Niger. Niger has precious minerals, metals, and France benefits from this. France will still take these mineral resources, sell it at a huge price and say, well, we have to bring in the equipment and we have to, so it's our cost that we are adding to it. And sorry, your mineral resources per gram cost this amount of money. End of story, end of discussion. I'm talking about a business deal where the owner of the product earns 2% and the rest of the 98% goes to whoever. And to make it worse, if not for these francophone countries fighting and saying, look, enough is enough, we don't want you to print our money. France was printing the currency of these French countries, such as Niger. And France would say, your currency that we printed to our own is this and that. Just imagine the difference. Very humongous, big difference. Nigerians are saying that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should not in any way involve himself in the conflict in Niger. And you know, if there is uprising and issues in Niger, it will result to terrorists having a field day. And that is a concern. Like and share this video, subscribe to this channel. See you in the next update.
I say a very big thank you to those who have taken time to subscribe to this channel. And if you're yet to subscribe, kindly tap on that subscription button and also the red bell icon so you will be notified whenever videos such as this are uploaded.